Hi, my name is Lily and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be wrapping up the 4 books that I read in January. So technically, according to my Goodreads and the trackers that I use, I have actually read 5 books, but one of them was a DNF and I don't really feel like I want to talk about that DNF, so I'm going to talk to you about the 4 books that I actually read start to finish in January. Now, this is not a very good number for me. I am usually much more of like an 8 kind of books per month person, but I just had a really rough mental health month. I wasn't really reading a lot, especially at the first half of the month. So here we are. I've only read 4, but in good news, there were 3 5-stars and 1 4-star read. So I think the message was, once I got a book that I absolutely adored, I like raced through it. But any books that I wasn't loving, I really struggled with. So I think it was actually a pretty good reading month in terms of quality, but yes, I didn't read as much as I wanted to. So the first book is Nadines World by Dean Nicholson. This is a non-fiction biography or like travel writing piece. It's about Dean, who was cycling around the world with his best friend. When they decide to split up, the best friend decides to go back home and he decides to continue on his own. And then when he is in Bosnia, I think it is, he finds this tiny little kitten crying on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, and she's clearly been abandoned. So he decides to pick her up, and at first he thinks he's going to take her to a vet and surrender her, and then he decides actually she's the perfect companion and takes her on his travels. And it's essentially the story from him deciding to travel around the world to the present day when they get stuck in a lockdown because of COVID. And it is really, really good. It is co-written with the same person who wrote A Street Cat Named Bob. So it is very well written, very interesting. It had a lot of heart to it and a lot of passion. I really liked the fact that it gave me hope for humanity, because a big message of this book is that Dean only survives because of the kindness that he shows others and the kindness that others show him. He finds this refugee camp and they offer him food and water despite having very little for themselves. And he gets taken in by strangers a lot when they find out about his story and offer to let him stay for free. And yet he also does a lot of things, like he rescues 2 puppies along the way and some kittens and helps to find them homes. He raises money after his profile rises and he becomes a viral star. So I think it's a really good story about human kindness and will give you some hope in a very bleak world. I ended up giving this one 5 stars because I just absolutely adored the writing. I loved how it made me feel about the world, and I have been a big fan of Dean and Nala for a really long time because I followed their Instagram. The next book I finished was Monsters of Men by Patrick Ness. This is the 3rd book in the Chaos Walking trilogy. So the first book is The Ask and the Answer. No, it's not. The first book is The Knife of Never Letting Go, the second book is The Ask and the Answer, and this is the 3rd book. I started reading these because I saw the announcement that the movie was coming out really soon, which is an adaptation of the first book, I think. So I was like, yes, I need to get on this. These came out in like 2010 or earlier even, maybe, and I didn't know about them at the time, so I'm only just discovering them now and I absolutely adored them. This was another 5-star read for me and it's so good. Like, I don't normally enjoy dystopians very much, but this one is kind of a sci-fi dystopian and I really, really loved it. I liked the twisty turniness of it. I liked that we had unreliable narrators. I liked that you didn't know who you could trust. I thought it gave a really interesting perspective on human nature and this belief that we are superior to others purely because they are different to us. So yes, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was very fast paced, especially because it's very chunky. I didn't feel like I was dragging my way through it at all. It was like in a few different acts, I guess. It is split up into parts and each part tells a different kind of story and you kind of move on to this next part of the journey, and I really enjoyed how it unraveled in this book. I thought it had a really great ending. Yeah, it was just a really good book, and normally I don't like the final book in a series or trilogy, but this one was really, really good. Next we have Frostheart by Jamie Littler. This is a middle grade fantasy set in the snowy tundras of, I guess it seems like it could be a dystopian future or just another fantasy world. And The idea is that our main character, Ash, is something called a song weaver, which means that when he sings, he can communicate with these beasts that live in the outside the villages, and these are kind of monsters that are known to attack humans and to destroy settlements. And basically the people within the settlements are scared of song weavers because they believe that if the song weavers can control the leviathans, I think that's what they're called, leviathans? I'm gonna go with that. If I'm wrong, I apologise. But if they can control the leviathans, then the leviathans can control them back. So they're scared of song weavers, and Ash has always been told he shouldn't sing. He is an orphan living in this village, and he's had quite a few different guardians, and his current guardian is a yeti. One day this sleigh arrives of pathfinders, who are people that travel between the settlements trading and all sorts. And as they're approaching, they see that there are some leviathans chasing them, and they are going to get caught and die. So Ash, on the spur of the moment, decides to try and sing to stop these lurkers from getting to the sleigh, and he is successful and he saves them. But of course that means his village decides to cast him out, so he asks the captain of the ship to take him onto her crew, and they go on this journey where he decides he also wants to try and find his parents. So this was a really great fantasy, and I did actually end up rating it higher than I thought I would. This was my 4-star read, and I was worried because as I was reading it, I thought it would be a 3-star, and I was expecting a 5-star. So that was kind of a bit concerning at first, and I think the problem was the first half of this book was really slow in my opinion. I was waiting for something to happen, but the second half of the book I absolutely adored. I thought it was so much faster paced. I love the story coming unravelled, and I love meeting some new characters. I just really wish the first half had been a bit faster, a bit more interesting, and I also kind of wished it was less predictable. I think I actually gave it 3.5 and rounded it up to 4 on Goodreads. So yeah, I do wish it was a little bit less predictable and a little bit faster, but I am 100% on board with this story, and I'm looking forward to the second book. I've already ordered it using a voucher, so I'm probably going to be reading that in March. And yeah, this one, it was good, but it wasn't as amazing as I was hoping it would be, but I would still 100% recommend it if you love middle grade fantasies. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, it has the most beautiful illustrations. It's illustrated a lot in this book, and the illustrations are all by the author, and that really makes the book so much more magical. And I do think I probably rated it higher, especially because of the illustrations. The final book I read this month was The Girls Ive Been by Tess Sharp. This is the back cover because this is an advanced reader's copy or an ARC. This is what the actual cover kind of looks like. It is out now if you would like to buy it, I think. It might not be out in physical, but it's definitely out in ebook and audiobook in the UK if you want to buy it. If you want to see my full review for this, I will link it down below. It was a rave review because I loved this book so much. It pulled me out of a reading slump, and yeah, I read it in one day. I actually stayed up until 1 AM to finish it on the day that I started it, so it was just incredible. This is about Nora, who was raised by her mother, who is a con artist. Every couple of months or couple of years, she would be forced to change identities and become this new child of her mother to con a different man. But when she was 12 years old, her mother is no longer conning someone, but is in love with a gangster, and her life gets increasingly dangerous, and her sister, who's 20 years older than her, decides to intervene and help rescue her. So then we are taken to present day Nora, who has been rescued by her sister and is now trying to live a normal life. She goes to therapy, she tries to date, she goes to school. She has 2 people in her life that are very important to her, Iris and Wes. Iris is her current girlfriend, and Wes is her ex-boyfriend, who she has a very complicated relationship with. They are meeting at a bank to deposit some money they raised for charity when they discover that the bank they are in has just been taken over by bank robbers, and they become part of a hostage situation. So Nora has to use her skills as a con artist basically to help get them out of the situation alive. This book is just amazing. I think I gave it 9.8 out of 10 on Corpile, which is just incredible. It's so good. I am not a big fan of thrillers. I find them a bit tedious at times and a little bit predictable, but this one done so well. It has timeline switching where you get to see Nora's past lives as the different girls she has been, back to the present day where she's in the hostage situation, and I think it is done perfectly. I don't want to say too much because if you really want to hear more about this book, go and watch my review, because I adored this book so much, and I would really encourage you to go and pick it up and read it, because this is one of my new all-time favourites. So this is going to be a really short wrap up because I only read those 4 books, but I am really happy that I read such amazing books this month, and I am very much looking forward to February. If you haven't seen my February TBR, I will link that down below as well, because it is now the Woodies Roundup Readathon and I am starting to get my books going for that, and I'm so happy. So if you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to see more content from me. All of my social media links are down in the description below. If you would like to leave me a comment to let me know you are here, please leave me a little book emoji in the comments below. That's my rice cooker telling me it's done. It's dinner time, so thank you so much for watching. Bye!